Yay, we're
Come on.
live.
Stream is undead.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello. Welcome to the Tomb of the Terrible. I am your host, UncleNecRo, and tender viewers. Let me tell you, there are times in my life where I have to rethink my life's decisions.
Watching this movie was one of them.
Yes.
There's three of them.
Oh my God. Right. So tonight's movie is the 2004 movie Dracula 3000. Or as I like to think of it, as Dracula in space. Dun, dun, dun. So, this is a movie. The description is, in the year 2999, a salvage crew comes across a 50-year-old cargo ship floating in the Carpathian system. After coming on board for a little look-see, the resident hookah pipe smoking crew member inadvertently awakens the remains of one Count Orlok, a surviving member of the all-vampire planet of Transylvania. That's all you really need to know at this point. I first watched this in 2004 when it came out because, they can't hear you suck in space, unfortunately.
I have one question. Was he from transsexual Transylvania?
No, because
that movie.
But was it the same Transylvania? Was it the same planet? Because there could be like a total crossover with Rocky Horror here.
No. That's a different system entirely. We would have had a very fun movie instead. But I first watched this movie in 2004 when it came out because I saw it on the shelves at the Family Video, and something everybody needs to understand that when renting videos in the 1990s, the covers of the direct-to-video movies, they were a different thing entirely. They at least showed you what you were getting yourself into. Movies like Ticks, anything by Roger Corman, like say the Carnosaur series. You saw the cover and you thought, this is cheeseball. This is going to be fun. In the 2000s, they started throwing money into making really legit looking covers that look like, oh my goodness. Let's bring up that cover art again.
2 seconds.
Okay. I mean, look at that. That looks like an H.R. Geiger print. Does it not?
It kind of looks like one of the covers of Brian Lumley's Necroscope book series.
Yes, exactly.
Looks
So
like it'd
when I
be a
saw this,
metal album cover.
yeah, but let's go back. Yeah, when I saw that on the shelves, I thought this looks really interesting. Dracula 3000. This was coming off like 4 years after the Dracula 2000 movie came out, and I thought, sure, why not? So I rented it, and after watching it, there was something I could have used the $2 for something else. At the time, the dollar menu was still a thing. I could have had like 2 McChickens, easy. But instead, I watched this movie. So
You can
I
have
do
two big chickens in your brain cells.
Yeah, I do apologize, but joining me tonight are Ron and Friday and Chaos. How many people? This was your first time watching it, so you've already seen it before, Friday.
This is my second time watching it with him, and the
Okay.
first time with the mother-in-law.
Okay, but when did you first see it yourself?
When I first saw it myself,
Yeah,
randomly
remember.
on a movie channel 2 or 3 years ago.
I see. Okay, so you kind of understood what you were getting yourself into. Were you hoping to see the faces of everybody else who were watching it with you today?
I was hoping not to have to watch it again.
Well, law of averages, but we're going to start by getting initial reactions from everybody. Ron, starting with you because you're right next to me. What did you think?
Wow. I like Chinese Lister. I think that he's done some interesting roles, especially since Depot and the movie Friday. He's a big dude, but he's got some good comedic chops, and he's all right with a lot of the roles that he does. The rest of the people I wasn't really too familiar with, so I didn't really know what to expect, and I was kind of hoping that this movie would meet expectations, and sadly, it did not. It kind of left me with Jason X vibes, but even Jason X was better than this movie, and that's saying a lot because Jason X is not the greatest movie in the Friday the 13th franchise, but mostly the first half of the movie I'm really okay with. I mean, there's a lot of things that I could question, but I can also put them aside just because of the camaraderie that Coolio's character has with Tiny Lister's character, and some of the plot lines are just kind of let's just throw this in, let's just throw this in, but then the ending really annoyed me, and there's just no excuse for that. I can rationalize it several different ways, but in the end, it still pisses me off.
Okay. Well, I would have to disagree with you with Jason X being a bad movie, but that's for another discussion entirely.
I didn't say it was a bad movie. I said it's not the best movie in the Friday the 13th franchise. I actually quite enjoyed Jason X, especially because I like Lexa Doig and Becca Ryder, from their Gene Roddenberry Andromeda days, which I think is what they were trying to capitalize on. But that's a story for a different day.
Okay, well, fair enough. But moving on, Friday. What? Back when you first saw it, what did you think?
How many cheesy lines can we throw into a sci-fi movie?
Mm-hmm.
And were any more of the Friday cast going to show up?
Okay, and Chaos. What was your initial reaction to watching this?
Really good casting, yet script. Holy shit.
I mean, yeah. First time I watched it, I remember thinking, well, they got a good cast because, Casper Van Dien. I remember him in Starship Troopers. He was the lead in that. And this was maybe the first movie I saw him after seeing Starship Troopers. That should say something. But I've seen him in other really low quality, straight to video kind of stuff. Some of which has been riffed on riff tracks, believe it or not. I always thought he was better. He was a better actor than this, but apparently he's found his niche. Tiny Lister, though, massive respect for the man. I mean, I remember him first when he came on as Zeus in the WWF to go up. That was during the period when Macho Man Randy Savage was the heel and was going up against Hulk Hogan, and the movie, what was it? No Holds Barred, which really should be on the wheel, by the way, as far as terrible movies go. He was in here. He was probably one of the bright spots, believe it or not, that I found. Coolio was just bloody annoying the entire time. I know he was trying to go for that urban type caricature that seemed to permeate a lot of the movies around this time, but it just fell flat. And the other, I remember thinking, wow, there's a lot of coincidence as far as how many people are named after characters of the book Dracula that happen to be on this spaceship together and running into a space vampire named Count Orlok, which was the original name in Nosferatu, which itself was an early adaptation of Dracula. So there's that. Yeah. And of course, Planet Transylvania in the Carpathian system.
And the ship was called the Demeter, which, of course, is called the Demeter in Dracula as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so many coincidences.
And suffered the same fate.
Yeah, so first thing I like to try to get out of the way here, did anybody find any good points about the movie? And we're going to go with Ron here.
Good points about the movie. I think Tiny Lister was just about the only good point about the movie. I agree with you about Coolio's character. I have never seen Coolio in anything else ever, so I don't know if this is like the only role that he's ever had, or maybe he's done some other stuff, but this is the only thing I can ever recall seeing him in. So I was really curious as to what his acting would be like. And for this particular character, I think he played the part well, coming across a little bit annoying, a little bit over-exaggerated, trying to be smart, hip, urban, and also a stoner. So how much of a stretch of a character is that really from what he was like as a person? I mean, so he's basically just playing himself as far as I can tell. The rest of it, I could take or leave it. Good parts. Yeah, I think Tiny Lister is about the only redeeming quality of this movie.
Okay.
Because I can think of a lot of bad.
Yeah, as far as Coolio's acting ability, I did see him. Coolio in there's this TV show in the 90s that was one of the ones that was run on Fox 42 here during the Saturday afternoon sci-fi lineup, and it was kind of one of those knockoff of the Twilight Zone episodes, but it was set in Las Vegas, and that other rapper, the Baby Got Back rapper, he was acting as the the big story guy there, but there was an episode where Coolio was playing a busker, and he was a flute player, and he actually came off as pretty decent. But then again, he was also playing himself too. I think it had more. His inclusion had more to do with, hey, he's kind of famous. We can put his name on there. But
right.
In any case, yeah. Moving along, Friday. What are some of the good points you can think of?
The ship looked well made. I really like that for science fiction movies when the ships look decent. I enjoyed some of the comic relief of Tiny Lister, and I generally like the setup, but I don't think I would have liked it better if somebody else wrote it to be more of a the word is escaping me, serious type of movie. I would have had more fun.
Okay. All right. And Chaos, can you think of what is some of the stuff that you found good about this movie?
Mainly just Tiny.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that Tiny was a big highlight of the movie itself. And I myself, I've already said that Tiny was for me the highlight. And quite frankly, I count the fact that there was no sequel to this movie as one of the highlights for me too. Which kind of leads us into the next topic here. What are some of the bad things you think about this movie? So, Ron, you did mention that, as far as bad movies go, this wasn't too bad.
Well, I thought that they had a good setup with the storyline because, it's something that if you follow with the Dracula chronology, then I suppose that it is possible in that realm, if he is going to be immortal, that he could feasibly potentially live to the year 3000, feeding off people, and they would basically did the same thing to Dracula that they did with Jason and Jason X, shoot his ass out in space and hope he never returns. So yeah, it's the same kind of setup, same kind of principle. Some of the bad things about it is you have this character Mina, which of course I guess named after Mina Harker from the book, just completely disappears halfway through the movie, never to return, with no explanation as to why she's gone. I would like to have found out what happened to her. If she became a vampire, if she got staked or what. Also, Dracula has a very minimal role in this movie. He actually does very little, and the most you get to see of him is just scenes from behind him running through the ship, doing God knows what. He has a couple of speaking lines, but not a lot of action and not really all that many kills. I kind of have to wonder if the ship has been derelict for 50 years. Where are all the bodies of the previous crew? Where are all the other vampires that were in those coffins? I imagine that the crew probably dispatched some of them and figured out how to kill them. So where are all their dead bodies? Where are the bodies of the crew member? But the ship is completely spotless. There's not even any blood spots anywhere. There's no blood splatter. The ship is spotless. It's very clean. So who was cleaning it? Is this like nanotechnology and you got your little nanobots to come out and they clean everything up and they probably dispose of the bodies or shot them into space or something, put them in the airlock and ejected them or what? I don't know because there's no explanation on that. Yeah, all of that. And then, of course, you get to find out that Aurora, I think her name was, it turns out she's a pleasure bot. And that was just completely out of the blue, but we needed some exposition so that somebody could explain what the hell was going on and how come she managed to get away from Dracula because she doesn't have any blood. Why didn't they show that to us rather than having her just appear and say, oh, this is it. This is what happens. Why didn't they show that? Why didn't they show that encounter between her and Dracula where he tries to bite her, finds out she doesn't have any blood, that she's a bot, and she's basically immune to him, and he can't kill her? Why didn't they show that? Why is that all given in exposition? I don't really understand that, why they would do that. And my really big one, the one that pisses me off the most, is the just complete nihilist ending where they're just like, okay, well, we need to finish this movie because we're at an hour and a half, so let's just blow the fucking ship up and everything's done. And you get like one brief message from Udo Kier, who's the original captain of the Demeter. He's like, I have no choice. And then you see the ship explode. It's like, you don't even give the people on the ship a chance to figure out that's what's happening so that they can maybe get to an escape pod and try to escape before the ship blows up. It's so completely just nihilistic, and they don't have an opportunity. I felt like it was just a lazy way to end the story when there was so much more, so many other options they could have gone with, them figuring out, oh, look, the ship is on self-destruct mode. Maybe we should get to the escape pods. And, at least then you'd give them a fighting chance. And then if they didn't make it out, fine. At least you explained it. But why did it go off 50 years after the fact? Why wouldn't it have exploded after Udo Kier originally finished recording that message? Why did it wait 50 years until other people were on it? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me why they would end it that way. And that's really what pisses me off about it. Don't try to argue with me that this is some kind of existential, argument of, this is the pointlessness of life when you're in space. All right. Don't give me all of that shit, because the movie, what was it? Dark Star did it much better. You can't argue with an artificially intelligent bomb whose sole purpose is to blow up. But that's not this movie. So I don't get it. And just, it completely ruined the movie for me. Up until that point, I was okay with most of the movie. Like other things I could overlook, but that one just screwed it up for me.
Yeah, I do have to say that as far as the explanation of who's an android or not, I think Jason X did it way better.
Oh yeah,
as far as introducing who the android is.
Well, they did it right at the beginning of the movie, so you knew throughout the movie that she was an android.
Right. Here they kind of shoehorned it in as kind of like, oh, by the way, I'm a pleasure bot. So even though neither of us survivors can actually pilot the ship, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So basically, what we're looking at is, they're cribbing from not only Dracula but also the Alien franchise, and now the softcore porn classic Femalien at the end.
Pretty much.
But Friday, what are some of your bad points?
Cheesy script. The lack of seeing Dracula do much. I agree with the whole, where's the mess and the decaying body? They talk about the smell, but where's the rest? And I agree. Why did you wait till the end to explain how much about her being a bot? That could have been an interesting plot point at any point. And I've seen better things do Voyage of the Demeter.
Yeah.
Definitely better versions of that.
Well, that was a better written movie anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and take a couple of minutes? We do have a commercial we need to go to, so why don't we go ahead and play that, and we'll get back and continue on with the discussion of the bad points of this here movie. So go ahead and roll them.
Greetings and Shabibans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Well, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Steve's trying to say is that on Retro Redoctopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Your King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brick.
You can listen to Retro Redoctopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
The best part is watching the people at the bottom. My favorite part of the ad breaks.
Well, I think I gave myself a bit of whiplash there during the retro. Yeah. So we're back, and we're continuing on with our thoughts on some of the bad aspects of Dracula 3000, and we're finally at chaos. What did you think?
Well, before I get into the bad aspects, to Ron's point that Mina disappeared halfway through the movie and was never seen again, she actually was. She did become a vampire. They found her in the coffin. As soon as they open up the coffin, they stake her, pull out the stake to do something. She gets back up, fights them a little bit, and then they stake her again to the wall.
I don't think that was Mina. I think that was
They
just another.
actually call her Mina. They actually did call her Mina when they popped the coffin.
Okay.
They opened up the coffin, said Mina, and then just staked her ass.
Because that looked like a completely different person.
Yes, it did, but apparently that was what happened to Mina when she turned. She turned into a different person entirely.
Because that
freaking
vampire
weird.
looked more like the vampire from Transylvania 65000.
Yeah. But yeah, that was their explanation about Mina. Turned her into somebody completely different, and yeah. Otherwise, yeah, holy shit. It's hard to find a spot that in this movie that wasn't just bad. I can't.
He doesn't know how to expound on everything we've said so far.
Exactly.
Okay. Again, fair enough. I mean, for me, a lot of it does have to do with the characterizations and the annoying aspects of said characters. The half-baked script itself, and just like as Rick says, it yeah, that had to be the cleanest derelict ship I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice to say something like, "Oh, the nanobots have taken care of this ship for, kind of preserved it or something or other." Yeah, that last part where it turns out she was used to be a pleasure bot. That could have been something we should have known early on. That would have changed the entire dynamic of the script, I think. Especially when, okay, why don't you go take point because you're not human. You can take a lot more than we can and tell us what's up, what's going on. But then Coolio. Oh, Coolio. I think just rewatching this, and first of all, I am pissed. No, it's nowhere to be seen on any of the free streaming platforms, and this needs to be on there. This needs to be on Tubi. I had to shell out nearly $4 on Amazon just to watch this for tonight. This does not please me. This is money again. I only spent $2 to rent it the first time, and even I was kind of pissed that I spent so much on it. This is $2 of gift card money that could have gone to books, precious, delicious books. But no, because I'm a professional, I could have just gone off my memory of this movie and the notes that I wrote down on my original written review of it back in 2004. No, I am a professional. I rewatched it. I put myself through this pain again for you guys. You are welcome. But yeah, I think we all know where I'm going to land on the side when we finally get to the final portion of this. But there's a lot more bad than I can think of that's good. So, okay.
We should point out that Casper Van Dien, who is supposedly the main character in this movie and the hero archetype, dies.
Yes. So at least he didn't have the plot armor going, which I find kind of soothing. Comforting, if you will. Yeah. But there are 5-star reviews on this. Amazon has the 5-star reviews.
Forgive them, Lord. They know not what they do.
I know, but let's go through a few of these, shall we? Right off the bat, first one by Claire. The best thing I ever purchased in my life.
That's a sad life.
This movie is one of the absolute best. 10 out of 10 would recommend to anyone. I'm not sorry I spent $4 to rent twice. The best line is the last. You can see the hope, the aspiration in his eyes. Oh man, it's so great. Would watch again. So, video rental store when it first came out and liked it so much, I was delighted to find. I rented this movie at my local video rental. This is by Cheryl J. Martinez, by the way. You have my condolences. When it first came out and liked it very much, so I was delighted to find it available on Amazon. Although not available on Blu-ray format, the picture still looks great on my HD TV. Oh, geez. Wow. Okay. If you're a fan of horror movies, you might want to check this out. This low-budget gem of a movie which tells the story of Dracula and the rest of the characters in the story, but set in the year 3000 in space. She was not paying attention, really. And then Diomed XSV, top of the neck notch movie in all caps. This is one of my favorite vampire movies of all time, even though I hate many bore-schlocking vampire movies. Most of my favorite acting performers. Coolio is always so entertaining when he initially struts his vampire stuff in this movie. And we'll just quit with this one by Joe, J.O. An unexpected, really good movie. For my husband's collection, so she wants a divorce, apparently. This came from a seller that is a nice and polite individual. The price was right, and I would recommend this seller to anyone. This movie was a new one for my husband's Dracula collection. It did not disappoint. Price, quality shipping, all outstanding, well worth the purchase. Thank you. Sweet mother of Elvis. These people deserve our pity. So, now we finally come up to the final portion of our show. This is the part where we give our initial reaction to not the reaction, but what our scoring is and whether or not we would recommend this to family, friends, whoever. Beginning with Ron, go ahead and take it away. Take it away.
I cannot say that I like this movie better than House of the Dead. So I gave House of the Dead a solid 5 for being midline. It has a lot that could be improved upon, but it was a meh kind of movie, and this one it had its flaws, and I can't score it higher than House of the Dead. So I'm gonna give it a 4, and just I can't even give it a 4 for gore because there wasn't even that much gore, to be honest with you. So it's 4 for poor.
Okay. Would you recommend it to anybody?
Obviously not.
Okay.
Well, I guess this is another one of those movies where if the CIA needed to do some interrogation tactics, they could probably have their prisoners watch this movie, and they might get the information they want. If they put it on endless repeat. And
oh dear.
But, I think that's the only thing that it could be used for.
So Pyle chimes in with, would you watch it again?
No.
Okay. So, Pyle, we miss you. And you should tell us what your score would be if you've actually seen this. So, Friday, let's go to you.
First, I want to give my mother-in-law, because this time she's like, here, put mine on there. She gets into 2. It was one of the dumbest vampire movies she's ever seen, and she'll watch anything vampire at least once. And I had forgotten I'd watched it, so I recommended it to my family members to watch with me, and they did. And I think I'd still give it a 3.
Okay. All right. And Chaos, sir.
I give it a 2 for Tiny. That's it.
Okay. Would either of you recommend it?
To an enemy, maybe.
Okay. Okay.
He hasn't watched it. As for there was things else that needed to happen.
Understood. We still miss you, buddy. So
Yeah.
that leaves me. That leaves me now. And after giving this quite a bit of thought, and by that I mean a couple of minutes, this is a rewatching again, as I mentioned, and I had spent money to rewatch it too, so it kind of loses points from there. I can't wait till you're back, Pyle. You and your toilet roll of justice. But this, when we're talking about Dracula 3000, somehow this movie makes Leprechaun 4, Leprechaun in Space, seem like the first Alien movie. Now, I gave, as far as comparing them to movies like, say, Mandy, the Haunted Doll, or Prey, those were bad movies, really bad movies, but for me, they were entertainingly bad movies. I would rewatch them in a heartbeat, especially with people, just to see looks on their face and feed off of their wails and cries of anguish. So, this one, Dracula 3000, was bad and not entertaining whatsoever. And I tried to find this free on YouTube. It is not. That way, at least by rewatching it, I could rewatch it in 1.5 speed and not have to suffer through the entire runtime. But alas, I did not. The only good thing about this movie is Tiny Lister, R.I.P., sir. You made everything that you're in all that much more better. That was really bad verbiage, I understand, but that's the effect this movie had on me. I give it a 1, barely a 1, and I would not recommend this even to my worst enemy.
That's still higher than Prey.
Yeah.
Still, it had Tiny Lister. If Prey had Tiny Lister in it, it would have been way, way higher. I'm just saying.
I would watch that again.
I would watch a remake of Prey if Nicolas Cage was in it. So
Nicolas Cage is the bad guy.
Right. Or like the father, there's no engine in your car. I have no idea what.
That's Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken is the dad.
Right. Oh, that would have been wacky. Or, William Shatner.
There's no engine in your car, so I guess you're walking.
There's no engine in your car. What? Spock? No. Okay, I stop. Do we want to move on to the wheel now? Before we get to
the wheel.
Okay.
No.
Brain hurt.
Let me see.
I don't have a brain left after that movie.
Oh, we're
down.
I died.
Wow.
Trailer Park.
Come on.
Night of the
Come on, Night of the Lepus.
Sleepaway Camp. Troll 2.
Whee!
Whee!
Night.
There you go. Night of the Lepus.
Oh, yes. A pellet cleanser. Yay!
I've never heard it before.
Oh, it is a classic. I remember my junior high school teacher talking about this movie, and I wanted to watch it so bad. But this is the era where if it wasn't at the local family-owned video rental store in the 80s, you weren't watching it. So next week, it's going to be Night of the Lepus. We expect you back here bright and shiny as always. Ron, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me here on Owlite Network, and I guess now I'll be here on Monday nights for these terrible, terrible movies that y'all are subjecting me to. That I guess I don't really have any choice in the matter now. This is my self-inflicted hell, I suppose. You can also find me on my author page. You can find me on my author page on Facebook, Ronald W Gillespie Jr. -author. Buy my book. It's like cool and stuff, and it's very good. Plug, and all that.
Pluggy,
You
pluggy.
did.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I do apologize. But Ron, you wanted to say something about a better movie than this?
I think it's a better movie. You like different types of vampire movies, and check out Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter. I'm submitting it to put on the wheel. It is a very low budget. Well, let's say that it's along the same budget amount, shoestring budget as like Monster and Lamageddon. And what was the other one that we watched? The stupid ninja one that I hated. What am I thinking, James?
The stupid ninja one?
Yeah, the preacher, the dinosaur pastor.
Oh, right, Velocipaster.
Yeah, it's along those lines. Jesus Christ is now a vampire hunter, and it's just. Yeah, as you do. It's just, I mean, I can't even begin to describe how gloriously bad it is, and it's one that we need to add to the wheel because I got a kick out of it.
Certainly, I think we're trying to get past the stuff that was in the wheel, kind of wheeled it down, and then we're going to reload it sometime in the near future. But anyway, Friday, where can we find you, and what better movie would you recommend than Dracula 3000?
My list, I think all the ones I put on the list we've watched so far. Does it have to be a vampire movie? Because I still say I love Night of the Killer Tongue. But you can find me on Faycore, you can find me on Owlite, you can find me on Friday with the Library and the Blue Box. And you can find me at my author page, Jennifer Elliott. Cool. And I'm still wondering if we're going to get a story collection from you, UncleNecRo.
Maybe. We'll see. Okay. Chaos, where can we find you? And do you have an alternate movie pick other than Dracula 3000?
Black Sheep.
Nice.
And Find Her.
Okay. Sleepaway Camp. That is actually on the wheel. I'm waiting.
What is Black Sheep about? I'm not familiar with that one.
First of all, it's Welsh.
Okay. We shouldn't hold that against it.
No.
Very murderous sheep.
It is fantastic.
Okay.
It is a dark comedy horror done just, it would be right up your alley.
So like Lamageddon, just it's a sheep.
Better.
No, not like Lamageddon, as it was actually directed and made much, much better.
Okay. Yeah. Huh, interesting. Well, let's put that on the wheel.
Yes. It's anyway, I am your humble servant, UncleNecRo. You can find me basically on various blogs, on podcasts, just as everybody else. If you want to try to find me as an author, I write under J. Milton Case II. Author page forthcoming, I think, and just get a hold of Friday down there. And as far as a better movie to be watching, I have two that I'm rather fond of. As far as Santa Sleigh, yeah,
I watched that one. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
that too had a wrestler. But as far as I go, I tend to lean more towards Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, or if we're looking at monsters in space, definitely go with Hellraiser Bloodlines that has Pinhead in space, but it's actually pretty good. So, until next time, tender viewers, seek help.
Spay and neuter your friends.
That too.
And